Hey guys, I'm back, and this video is going to be a little bit more chatty. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I was like, let me just pump out one of these really quick because why not? I want to talk about what it's really like being a woman behind the camera. A lot of my content is a day in the life of a Black female photographer, and I want to talk about topics, especially during this year. What is it like being behind the camera and get a little bit more vulnerable? So stick around if you guys want to get a piece of the journey. This one is going to be basically, did I feel supported or did I feel like I had to prove myself when I first started in photography? Yes, that I did. I really did. I've always felt like I had to prove myself as a woman because let's be for real, this is a male dominated field. When I first stepped into the studio, it was owned by a man. It was all men around. Okay. And when I first had my big, major studio, major gig as a photographer, I want to say that was like my Essence cover. I had a moment in the studio. I was actually shooting male rappers, men again. And I think I also shot like a male actor. But I do recall like being in the studio and the person that I was renting something from, he mentioned to me to not do something. Basically I was gonna try to rent something with my money, but I really shouldn't have been doing that. And he was like, don't do that. Don't do that. But it just reminded me of like how I was approaching things and how men tend to approach things in business. So, and I was about maybe 25 at this point, so I was well deep in the game, and I was still making mistakes because we're always learning, right? But I want to say that a lot of my career, I did not feel supported. I did not feel like I had people like looking out for my best interest as a woman shooting in the field. And what I mean by that is not simply like, oh, here's an opportunity, or, I think it's deeper now that I'm older. I feel like just the basics of like, funding a woman that is in business can be misogynistic to, or people can have a misogynistic approach to supporting that concept or idea because they simply have not done the internal work to just accept the fact that a woman can also shoot, or even, not just pay, dynamics, but also just like when I go to a rental company, and this happened to me like recently. I went to a rental company that I don't normally go to, and I remember them second guessing what I was ordering. I ordered a C-stand on wheels specifically, and they were like, "Are you sure you want that? That's a huge C-stand." And I was like, "Yes, I'm very sure that I want this because I use this in the studio that I always rent in." And it was a very like cringe moment of like, do you know what you're ordering? Do you know what you're doing? And that's what comes with this industry, and I'm kind of used to it. But yeah, that's what comes with being a woman with the camera. Okay, what's one early moment that shaped my confidence or lack of it? Really, I can remember that shaped my confidence and like made me like really not fear a lot. Is like one of my early shoots. I mean, like back in the day, I can remember shooting like a lot of rappers. And I don't shoot rappers anymore because of this, but back in the day, I remember shooting like a group image of like all these rappers. And I was like maybe 21, 20, but it was super, super intimidating for me, a young woman, in a sea full of like rappers and just having to command the room. But I will say that this taught me how not to be afraid to command the room, how to speak up, how to be in complex situations where it was very intimidating. But, and not saying that the men were intimidating or that they were disrespectful or rude. They weren't any of that. They were being themselves. But it was just intimidating for me because I was this young girl with a camera, and I was just like, felt like I was overpowered in the room. So that built a lot of confidence in me and a lot of strong will in me to, move forward and be able to shoot anyone. The next one is going to be, have I ever been underestimated because I am a woman? I think I still get underestimated. I think that especially in today's like day and age with the internet and social media, I think a lot of photographers they have their own systems. I personally have mine, and my system is I do edit. I have retouchers as well, but I edit most of my work. I light my own sets. I can digitech. I can do all of the things, and I think a lot of other photographers may not have that skill set. But the only reason why I do have that skill set is because I've worked a 9 to 5 in photography as well. So I've been a retoucher 9 to 5. I've done digital technician 9 to 5. So I understand a lot of things that some, photographers that just point and shoot may only understand. And I think that's the part where I get underestimated. Now, is that because I'm a woman? I don't think so. I think that's simply because a lot of photographers just may not know how to do that. Do I feel like I have to work harder than others to be seen? I do believe, being a Black woman specifically, I do have to work harder, which means I have to make myself visible. I have to reach out. But even if I do, I do still face the challenge of people not even wanting to accept me for who I am because of what I look like or because of who I am. I have been on sets before, and people will undermine my intelligence because of what I look like, and I can tell when that's happening to me at this point in time. And I just have to chuck it up and just, do the job anyway. I have to show up anyway, and I have to do what I have to do anyway. Because to be honest, the way people digest you should not even be something that's going to stop you from doing what you want to do in this world. What's something that I wish people understood about women in photography? Something that I wish people understood about women taking photos and being specifically, I want to say specifically being in the studio, because I will say that, yes, you could be a woman taking pictures, but I think when you get into the commercial space is when the male dominance, misogynistic energy really escalates. And I want people to know that no matter what gender you are, you can take a photo. You can go in a very industrialized setting and do just as good of a job as a man, especially when it comes to taking pictures. Like taking pictures doesn't require necessarily like physical strength, and you can, even if it does, you can always have assistance to help you endure that. So yeah, I don't think just being a woman stops you or prevents you from doing anything in this world. When it comes to creative work, you can do it. Have I ever doubted myself because of how others treat me? Yes, I have. I am human, and I have been doing this, like I said, for a very long time. And I will say, in my early years, I did doubt myself a lot. I underestimated myself in certain settings, especially when I was younger and I was getting opportunities that seemed larger than me. But I will preface that if you're in the room, honey, be in the room and be proud that you are in the room. Like, really be there. And I think people will try to challenge you. People will try to undermine your intelligence or push back at you. But like, I saw something the other day where somebody mentioned, like, allow people to grow in the industry that they're in. And that is so true, especially somebody like me I started at like 18, 19. One of my first jobs was 19, working for a clothing company and like photographing all their editorials and campaigns. So to be that young and grow through the things, like, I was still learning the business. Don't expect to know everything up front. And I think people should have more grace in the industry as well. So I'm going to end this here. What advice would I give to women starting out in photography? My advice would be is to just pick up the camera and photograph what you enjoy. Like, just allow yourself to immerse yourself into the craft. Don't overthink it. Don't get overwhelmed with like the technicality of the camera. I actually did a corporate shoot a couple of days, like last week, and one of the high school girls, she was photographing yearbook, and I was like, oh my gosh, I photographed yearbook back in high school, and she was like a little like hard on herself because she brought the wrong lens in and they couldn't go back to the school bus to get the right one. But I told her, I was like, you should keep going with photography. Don't let like the technical things or not understanding the equipment all the time be something that, you know, discourages you from taking pictures. Even like I would say you should still be taking pictures today, even though I know that's not the right lens, but do your best. Like just try. And I think that's what keeps you going. So you guys know what to do. Continue to master your gaze out there and take all the pictures you can.